Hey there, Friday Night Movie listeners. You'll hear in today's episode that we talk about the Golden Globes, which will sound kind of weird because we will have already released our instant Oscar nominations reaction episode. That's because here at Friday Night Movie, my sisters and I are trying to break the format a little bit, do some fun, quick mini episodes, but we also are trying to do our regular, longer format, once-a-week episodes. So chronology might be sacrificed, but hopefully you're enjoying the mini episodes. And if you do want to listen to them in order, you can listen to this one and then go back and hear the Oscar episode. And then it might make a little bit more sense. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Here we are, and welcome to the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where we invite you to join our family and speak the language of our family, which is movies and television, and making fun of fun of each other. I'm talking about Lily right now, because we'll probably start making fun of her first. Lily, how you doing?
I'm good. I would say that, jet lag, 10, Lily, maybe 1. So it's an uphill battle this week. I feel I have thoroughly had my ass kicked immensely. So it's been a bit rough, but hanging in there. How are you guys?
It's actually funny you talk about getting your ass kicked and you say jet lag 10, Lily 1. I feel like Lily 10, Becky 1. I am still just barely putting back the pieces of my house after Hurricane Gomez-Corman tore through it.
I would say,
to be fair, Mom and Dad were there too.
Yeah, I would say that is an unfair sampling because Mom and Dad, God bless them, they use every part of wherever you live, no matter how big or small.
Party where you had Mom cook a giant Cuban dinner. I don't feel like it's all my fault.
But also,
up to me, we wouldn't have used her kitchen.
But when Mom does that, guaranteed a week later, you're going to be like, why is my carburetor not working properly? And you're going to find a lime wedge and a spoon jammed into the carburetor. Like not like half a lime just wrapped around the blades.
Yeah.
Second of all, Mom once, when we were I can talk about this now, when our first child was born and she was visiting, and she didn't want to get up from the table because she was tired from helping and everything like that, and we were eating pizza. We had ordered pizza. She just took the pizza box and threw it on the floor in the corner of our dining room, and I got really upset. I said, Mom, there's a lot of stuff in the house. There's kids. And she looked at me and she just goes, well, it was perfectly fine for you and Josh in college to leave pizza boxes all over your apartment. Now suddenly it's a big deal. And I'm like, yes, 15 years later, when I have a child in a house throwing a dirty pizza box.
That's not a fair mom story. I want to have her back on that one. I feel like that's an extreme moment. That's the type of thing she does when she's very, very tired but won't admit it, and then has a double espresso and she looks like she's losing her mind.
Yes. Okay. That's fair. All right. We will forgive Mom on that one. So this is a fun episode because we call these a catch-up episode. We have a lot of little specialized episodes.
They're all fun episodes.
They're all special.
I mean, to us.
To us, yeah. But this is one where we really are just going to talk about a whole bunch of different things that are going on. I have discovered some new diet drinks because I'm always trying the new diet drinks. And
I was going to ask how you are, Shai, but clearly you've solidified into some sort of fast food beverage the last time I spoke to you. So I'm just worried.
I know that it's technically better for you because it has less sugar, but Shai, you're not. I don't think it's that good for you. I don't know.
The way I rationalize it is that there are people who live on Diet Coke, and whatever I'm drinking has to be better for you than Diet Coke. So obviously I
don't think the next thing you're about to explain to us.
I'm a big root beer fan.
Yeah, but this next drink that you tried seems
I wanted to find, so in the Weird Al Yankovic song, The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota, there is a reference to a diet chocolate soda. And I had kind of a craving for Yoo-Hoo a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't want to go down the Yoo-Hoo rabbit hole. So I said, I wonder if diet chocolate soda really exists. And I Googled it, and I found this company called Canfield, and I ordered it on Amazon, a case of it. And it's made by
Let's start with a case.
It's made by the... Yeah, well, if it was good, I didn't want to not have extra.
Exactly. Just in case.
And I will say, it's made by the Dr. Pepper... 7-Up bottling company, so it's not like it's made in some sketchy bathtub or anything like that. And after the third or fourth one that you drink, you really start to taste the cocoa flavor.
Oh, I worry about you. I worry about you.
So aside from Enlightened ice cream, Diet Canfields, they cannot have a podcast that they're sponsoring.
I mean, they definitely need to sponsor us because literally no one else is drinking that. You are the person
I don't know who else. I don't even know where you can find this because I've asked other stores. I'm like, do you have any Canfields? And they're like,
I don't want to be extreme, but I feel like I'm not sure if like having like a cigarette brand sponsor us is healthier. Maybe like we get in touch with Marlboro. No one's asking Marlboro to sponsor their podcast. I feel like there might be more money there than with the chocolate soda.
Well, speaking of things that are unhealthy, let's talk about our emotional relationship with the Golden Globes. Is that a good segue, or did that make no sense? Whatever it is, the Golden Globes have happened.
I mean, I don't feel like I have much of an emotional relationship with
always say I don't, and then I kind of do. Like, I'm always like, I don't care, whatever, mostly because I can never watch them because they're on so late.
My issue with award shows is that when things win that I haven't seen and don't want to see, I get very annoyed because I'm like, ugh, do I have to watch that movie now?
I never had that feeling. Still haven't seen The English Patient. Don't care. I want
like The Wife, like Glenn Close won for The Wife. Do I need to watch that now?
Nope,
I don't want to
That's
watch
a made-up movie that they show in another movie about movies that Glenn Close won an Oscar for.
I mean, that makes more sense to me.
She's never won an Oscar, guys. Never won an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah. She has like 1,000 million Golden Globe nominations, and she has a few Golden Globes, but they were for TV. I think this is her first Golden Globe for movies, and I'm pretty sure she's never won an Oscar.
She didn't win for Dangerous Liaisons, starring John Malkovich. You know, the prequel to Cruel Intentions.
I know, and if you think about that movie, the casting is so weird.
Right,
he's Ryan Phillippe Malkovich.
Like John Malkovich is the seductive guy.
He's the
it's even
Ryan Phillippe of that movie.
You know, it's even more weird. If you ever watch the music video for Annie Lennox's Walking on Broken Glass, he reprises his role as Valmont in that music video as like this seductive goateed man carrying.
The 90s were weird. 80s? When is that from?
90s, early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
Okay. Lily, take us to the Golden Globes.
Okay. So I kind of want to do like a rapid fire by rant meh with the winners. And if anybody has like questions or anything they want to like shout out about, feel free to go. There's some like top picks floating around them. The fact that A Star Is Born was like basically, you know, I guess snubbed is the word, which I think is insane because you can't
here's my
put
view.
Bohemian Rhapsody up against that movie. It's like stupid. But yeah, it only won Best Song. So
I feel like it won the award it deserves to win.
Agreed.
And not only that, I have since purchased the soundtrack, and it is amazing. And Lady Gaga should absolutely get an Oscar for that. And I wish there was a soundtrack, a Best Original Soundtrack, not just song, but original soundtrack award. Because
soundtrack, not the original score.
Right, exactly. So like, if you
Spider-Man would get that, because that soundtrack is amazing.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
But like I feel like Bradley Cooper's not going to get an Oscar for A Star Is Born because he didn't write that song. But there are other songs I think he did write. I don't know, that he sings on, whatever it is. The music is the best part of that movie. There's great acting in it. But I don't think when you look at the other things it's up against, namely
I feel like considering it's been made 5 times, like, take what you can get.
Right. No one's giving the...
Yeah.
No one's giving the, like, 6th Star Wars movie
I'm so excited that they shot it and they did it in an original way and it feels fresh, but it's still something that's been made like 4 times before, 3 times before. So it's like, all right, give the people who wrote their own scripts a chance.
Okay, so Bohemian Rhapsody, that's a buy all around for Best Picture.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to give nods.
Drama, sorry. Best Picture drama.
I want to give nods that if Black Panther or Black Klansman had won, 100% I would have supported it, and I haven't seen the other movies.
You know, I feel like people are maybe complaining that it's not...
The only one is If Beale Street Could Talk, which you didn't see.
So. I feel like the awards season, I don't know, or the movies nominated, like there's some pretty great movies this year. I don't feel like it's lacking. Like there's a lot of movies that I love this year.
I still think, and maybe one day we should play it on the show, I still think there should be a process whereby a movie gets a certain amount of votes and it automatically qualifies for the next year. So it gets a second chance or something like that. So that if you come up in like a dud year, then...
but that's interesting because I think had The Star Is Born not had Bohemian Rhapsody up against it, maybe it would have swept. And then we would have been annoyed.
Should it have compared to Black Klansman? Like when you rank it,
no, but that's what I'm saying.
Think it's better?
That's what I'm saying. I think you may have been annoyed.
Okay, you make a good point.
At least it's getting overshadowed by a better movie.
All right, keep us calm.
All right. Can you explain to me that I didn't pay attention that Vice is in the comedy and musical category?
So. Well, but part of it is how they decide to submit it. But having seen Vice, which I thought was a superb movie, it was very, very cool. It is. You could definitely argue it's a comedy the way The Big Short is a comedy in that it is satirical. It's not I think if you view it as a typical historical docudrama, you're actually going to get really agitated because it does a lot of surreal things and a lot of things that are in Adam McKay's movies with the breaking of the fourth wall, and there's a lot of very dark humor.
You look at this category and you're literally like, clearly comedy is whatever the hell they feel like saying it is because... You have Green Book, Vice, Crazy Rich Asians,
Green
The
Book,
Favorites, and
Crazy
Mary
Rich
Poppins
Asians
Returns.
Well, Crazy Rich Asians and Mary Poppins look like they both actually belong there.
Belong in that category.
And nothing else.
First of all, it's a stupid category. Comedy or musical.
Is the Green Book in there because it's comedy or musical? Like, which one do they think it is?
Comedy?
I mean, it looked like the commercial. There's some funny stuff in it.
Just because a movie has a joke in it doesn't mean it goes in that category. I think they looked at the drama ones and they're like, oh, damn, we're not beating Klansman and Bohemian. We're going to definitely try to one-up it with...
This whole category thing, that I think there should actually be then Oscars for the weird categories you see on Netflix. So, like, Golden Globe. So, if they're going to do comedy or musical, then they should do, like, Golden Globe for action movie starring former comedic person in a satirical sci-fi movie. You know, when they use your algorithm to figure out what you like?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Wrestling documentaries produced by former 80s
but
television
it also
stars.
feels like this category making is like fantasy football. Like they sit together before and the director and the producer are just like, okay, which one should we go with the best odds of winning? And that it's not at all about the movies. Anyways.
So wait, looking at the next category, Glenn Close won for the movie The Wife was this year?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying is that like then a movie like The Wife wins and I'm like, what? Do I have to watch that now because she's important? And then it's like a movie about old
actress
people
drama, and she was up against Kidman, Lady Gaga, Melissa McCarthy, and Rosamund Pike.
So here's my theory: no one saw any of these movies,
exactly,
except The Star Is Born, and they were like, well, these people are good actors.
Well, they're like, Gaga can't beat Glenn Close or Kidman, so just give it to Gaga.
I don't know. Now that I see this list,
I don't think she can.
Now that I see this list, give it to Gaga.
I kind of agree based on this list.
Give me a break.
Based on this list and the fact that I have not seen a single one of these movies, I would 100% give it to Gaga.
You didn't see A Star Is Born?
No, I have a baby. It was a hard time. I couldn't get away.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
I heard it's really good.
Well, give me a hard time then.
Okay. So obviously then Rami Malek gets it.
Not only should Rami Malek have won that and did win that and deserved it, and he's a vision in this part. I've been watching him like do interviews and on talk shows.
Makes it even better.
It makes it even better. And apparently there's this like whole shtick where people are starting to behave as if he really is Freddie Mercury or like kind of maybe Freddie Mercury. And he's getting and he's on Jimmy Kimmel and it was so funny. I do encourage you to look it up, that clip of him, of Jimmy Kimmel interviewing him about the fact that like kind of people sort of think he's maybe Freddie Mercury now, like including rock stars.
He also seems like a dear and like just a sweet, sweet person. And a genuine, like, awesome guy. So
Yep.
that's comforting to know. He also has an identical twin brother, which is crazy. Yeah. Like identical. It's not Sammy Malik.
No kidding.
Anyways.
Rami and Sammy. That's what they named him.
Yeah.
I was going to joke and say, what is his name? Salami Malik? I guess that was pretty close.
So, okay. So he beat out John David Washington, Lucas Hedges, Willem Dafoe.
I buy
categories
it.
are going.
I
Oh,
buy
there's
it,
a lot
but
of
I'd like
categories.
to see.
No.
I'd like to see Bradley Cooper and John David Washington win Oscars at some point. I mean, and I love Willem Dafoe, but I
Agreed.
feel like I'm not really like.
And then,
sitting around
I
waiting
mean,
for him to win an
again,
Oscar now.
sorry, musical or comedy, you have, for actress, for best performance by actress, you have Olivia Colman, who's amazing. Like, I don't care, just give her an award.
Yeah, she's
Broadchurch,
awesome.
she's phenomenal. She's in The Night Manager, she's phenomenal. Like, everything she's in, she's just does the, like, piece of favor, because she's just so awesome. But that's supposed to be comedy, and you've got Emily Blunt, Mary Poppins, Elsie Fisher, 8th Grade, which seems like a serious movie.
It is a serious movie.
Yeah, that's in the comedy category.
It's
Tully, which
definitely-
is definitely a serious
No,
movie.
no,
and
no.
not a
8th grade
comedy.
is like it's.
And then Constance Wu
yeah.
for Crazy Rich Asians. So that category
and-
also seems like
Wait, Charlize
drama.
Theron, does she play the guy who landed the plane in the Hudson River? That's what that's about?
No,
Is that
that's
what that movie
Sully.
was?
That's
Oh.
Sully. No, it definitely looks like a serious movie, Tully. It's about like a
Postpartum.
mom who has like her third baby and is struggling.
It's
and
very serious. It's
Oh
a great
man,
movie.
I
but it's
totally thought like she played like the air traffic controller
No,
in the movie
Sully.
about the. Oh, that's Sully with Tom Hanks.
yeah.
Oh,
That's a good movie.
Okay.
And so we can close this out with best performance by actor in musical or comedy. And Shai, you saw Vice, so Christian Bale won that.
So Christian Bale won that. He was amazing as usual, like insanely transforming himself. If he beat Rami Malek, I would.
You're not in the same.
No, in the real
for the
awards, like
Oh, right.
in the Oscars, like I would say that's totally acceptable. I'd rather see Rami Malek win because that performance was so like enriching to my soul. Like I love that performance. It's a movie that I want to watch.
Oh, but you're saying that Christian Bale could beat him.
Oh yeah, that just in terms of acting, it is one of the more amazing performances I've ever seen.
Oh wow. Okay, that's quite. The endorsement.
Honorable mention. Shai, you definitely won't watch this. Lily, you might watch it. Roma. I do recommend it. It's pretty incredible.
I probably will watch it.
Yeah, but Shai.
Can we
Andy Samberg went on Seth Meyers, and he was going through all of the jokes that didn't make the cut. That was really funny. And he was like, one of his jokes was something to the effect of that. Definitely go and watch Roma on the biggest cell phone that you can, because it was released on Netflix at the same time, like making fun of it. Like,
well, I actually. So first of all, Spider-Verse won Best Animated Film, which we were all very excited for.
Know how we feel about that.
But I would say, in terms of the jokes, I really loved. I thought Andy Samberg and Sandra Oh playing off the fact that they're just likable people was really, really sweet, and I like their whole like nice jokes, like not real mean jokes, but they were really nice. But the joke that I loved the most, it was when Andy Samberg talked about Mrs. Maisel and said, "And this is the show that makes you think, huh, is this anti-Semitic?" Because as you all know, that has been one of my issues with the show from the beginning. Is like
very accurate.
I'm not sure how comfortable I am with this.
What's funny is I'm totally fine with it until I realize people who aren't Jewish are watching it, and someone will like post something on Instagram or Twitter about like, oh, I'm loving this season. And I'm like, oh, wait, but you're not Jewish, so I feel like maybe you shouldn't be in on this joke.
The weirdest thing is when people come up to me and they're like, oh my God, I bet you love Mrs. Maisel. And I'm like, because I'm Jewish? Like, could you imagine?
But like, that's like them coming up to me like, I bet you love bagels.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're like, I do, but it's
but
like,
yeah,
but that's not like a thing, but it is a thing.
It's like, or someone showing off to me that like, oh my God, I'm eating all these bagels, like trying to like connect with me.
Right.
It's like, I'm watching Mrs. Maisel. I'm like, yeah, but is this a bagel?
It's like you went on Birthright. Let's relax.
Wait, guys, we should have. Are we going to talk about Maisel? Because Lily and I both watched season 2. Shai, we know how you feel about Maisel, and I'm convinced after season 2.
I'm committed to watching.
Season 2 is incredible. Season 2 is so on fire. Tony Shalhoub should win all the awards for all time for this part.
I'm watching it. We're not watching it. We're not binging it. We're watching it slowly, but we are watching it. But we'll talk about it when I'm finished. But I'm enjoying. I'll say this: I'm enjoying season 2 much more than season 1, because my problem with season 1 is exactly that point: is that I worry the characters bordered too much on caricature at times, and it bothered me. Whereas I feel like there's more depth happening in season 2, and I enjoy that, because then there's more to these characters, and then to just add that Jewish element to it, like when people are like, hey, you're Jewish, bet you like this show, I feel a little bit like, there's a little bit more depth to who they're talking about.
I've had multiple people compare me to Midge, and they're all not Jewish, and I'm all certain it's because they're like, look, another Jew. That's so.
Yeah, but Andy, one of the funniest things, Andy, of his, I thought was funny of the jokes that didn't make it that he told, was that watching Mrs. Maisel, something to the effect of that it makes him, like when he watches it, he laughs and everything, but then he also just has like crazy cravings for brisket. So
that's amazing.
It didn't make the cut, but and Seth Meyers like, yeah, it's like brisket is like another character on that show. And then that makes me think, I'm like, yeah, but is that okay?
I prefer brisket to Midge, so
I guess.
I would watch a show, The Fabulous Mrs. Brisket, that was just a brisket being cooked and eaten by Jews. That would be a lot of fun. Now, speaking of Andy Samberg, I'll use this to segue into just what we've been watching. So, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is back. It's on NBC now. Allie and I realized this is one of the best found money moments ever. We realized that because Fox never really invested in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and we had moved into the renovation house, we missed an entire half a season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So we get to watch, we're rewatching whole chunks of last season before we get to this season. And I just love that show. I love Andy Samberg. I love all of them so much.
I'm on season 4, and I watched them like they were like gemstones.
Oh my God,
I'm carefully holding them.
I'm so
jealous. I specifically am watching I save them for specific moments.
I'm so jealous of you guys. I wait every week for it to come back. I mean, it's literally been months where every week I'm like, are you back yet? When are you coming back? So I was very, very happy come Thursday.
And it got amazing ratings, apparently. It got, according to what I don't know how
it got the best ratings I think it's had.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. I still, though, to this day, my favorite episode, there's 2 episodes that are my favorite. One is Sal's Pizza in the first season, where there's the Sal's Pizza place burns down, and they compete against the fire department. Like, the fire department is like the library from Parks and Rec, and Patton Oswalt plays the fireman. But also, it's when they introduce Charles Boyle's pizza blog, and he talks about mouthfeel as something that you judge pizza by. To this day, it kills me. Okay, so other stuff I'm watching these days. Well, okay. My big find is Future Man. I binged that show in like 3 days, and now I'm already into season 2. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts
Where
are...
can people find it, though? Just say
on Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Right?
It's on Hulu. My thoughts are that...
It's worth, in my...
While I've only seen 3 episodes, maybe 3.5, and I can't throw down an I Told You show until I finish the first season.
At episode 7, if it's not an I Told You show, then I'll accept
No. What I have to say is... sitting down to watch Future Man is becoming my favorite part of the day. Like, I am all in on it.
If this was the Golden Globes, which category does it fall in?
Drama with a musical comedy. Yeah. No, it's comedy.
It's comedy.
Okay. But I think there was it's very early on. It's like episode 2 or 3 where Wolf and Tiger have to secure the perimeter of the frat house.
Yes.
It's so funny.
What's it about? How about you tell people who've never seen it, like me, what it's about?
It's a meta show. So things similar. There are things in the show that are similar premises to other things that you've seen, but it's very aware of that because it exists in our world. But there's this young man played by Josh Hutcherson his name's Josh, who has never amounted to much. He's a janitor at a big medical lab, and he's playing this video game that he's obsessed with, and the Biotic Wars or something like that, and he finishes the game finally, and when he finishes the game, the two soldiers from the game appear because they're real from the future, and the game was sent back in time to test to find out who the savior of the future would be. So they go on this crazy time-traveling Terminator 2 meets Back to the Future meets Alien meets
Quantum
The Last
Leap.
Starfighter, Quantum Leap, and throughout the show he even says, this is the same plot as The Last Starfighter, and they don't know what he's talking about. So there's a little bit of this people out of time, there's some meta humor about the different movies, but then, the way why it really works is that there are real stakes. Seth Rogen's one of the producers, and he talks about how it's a comedy, but there are real life and death kind of stakes. There are real stakes, and the actors, Eliza Coupe plays Tiger, the main female lead, and I don't know the
What
name.
else was she from? Because
She was
great
in Scrubs. She was in the second or last season of Scrubs when the interns
Is she
come.
not in Community?
Oh, she was on Happy Endings also.
Oh, Happy Ending.
She's
Okay,
in
so a
that.
bunch of shows I've never seen.
But she's
Got
in
it.
that universe of like people that are just about our age that are really funny but also really beautiful. Anyways, I'm now into season 2, and season 2 is very cool. It's getting off to a slow start, but it's very cool.
And Josh Hutcherson is great in it.
I would have never thought, based on the Hunger Games, that guy was talented at all, and he's amazing.
He's great.
Cool. The other thing that we watched, I'll stop. Or the other two things. Number one, we watched The Prince of Egypt. By the way, speaking of super Jewish things like Mrs. Maisel, have you seen that cartoon? Like, I never saw it.
Yeah, I
saw it like
it
20
when
years
it,
ago.
Came out.
It's like very Hebrew. There's like a ton of just like random singing in Hebrew in the movie. And Jeff Goldblum plays Aaron, Moses' older brother, which was absolutely amazing. But the kids loved it, so that was a big hit. And then finally, we saw Bad Times at the Royale with Cheese. What's it called? Bad Times at the
El Royale.
At the El Royale.
Was it good? It looks fun. I want to see that.
Really
It was
fun.
a
It was
solid
Tarantino-esque.
Tarantino-esque, but when I say Tarantino-esque, it's not as violent as a Tarantino. And
without all the...
And it's not as aggressive in terms of like the language and the stylized elements to it, but it has amazing music, and this woman, oh man, I tweeted at her yesterday, Evie, it's killing me here, hold on one second, because I really want to, she is fantastic. Lily, we saw her in Widows. She was the woman with the backpack. Cynthia Erivo. So Cynthia Erivo is this surprise breakout, steals the show of this movie. She sings in the movie quite a lot, and she has to carry. She's the character that you connect with the most. And it was really fun. It was suspenseful. It wasn't too long. Great acting. Chris Hemsworth plays against type, very kind of haunting character.
He did in Ghostbusters, the female version.
Not exactly, but a little bit.
I'm kidding.
That's one of my favorite roles ever.
So it's one of these movies where a bunch of strangers descend on a place for different reasons, and then because of their various backstories, terrible things start happening, and a few of them have to try to survive as all of these terrible coincidences.
But it's better than Hotel Artemis.
Much better than Hotel Artemis, but
okay,
it's that
good,
kind.
Because it seems like a similar premise.
Then I guess I'm gonna love it.
Or Hateful,
I liked Hotel Artemis.
or Hateful Eight.
Well,
it's like that.
You can go ahead and love Hotel Artemis and hate Venom all by yourself.
Yeah, I also couldn't finish Hateful Eight. I turned it off and then
this is
I went back to it.
This is if they did Hateful Eight, but it wasn't. But it was done in an enjoyable way, with like real pacing and not super aggressive like language all the time. It's a cool movie, and John Hamm also. Small part, but very good. So, anyway, so those are my recs. That's what I've been watching lately. Beck, what are you up to?
So, on my list of things that I wrote down at one point in my life, my first thing says forgotten rec from the Vegas episode. I have no idea. I can't remember. So it's still forgotten. If it turns up,
at the end of that episode, when we recorded that episode, you go, "Oh man, I forgot a rec," and we were just like, "Oh, just save it for next time." And I typed that in. This is the third week I've typed it in. So
but I don't remember it, so it doesn't matter.
Forget it.
Okay, so Vlad and I watched an HBO doc the other day called Momentum, which is about...
Does it play backwards from the end of the movie to the end? Like, and you have to figure things...
Momentum.
When I first read the notes, I was like, God, everybody's seen Memento, Becky. But then I realized you wrote HBO doc.
So it's a documentary about, it's a surf documentary. It's about the group of surfers in the 80s and 90s that really kind of like blew up surfing and like professional surfing and made it wildly popular and famous, and not famous, but made it more popular and kind of rejuvenated the sport. So it's Kelly Slater, Rob Machado, Shane Dorian. Those are the three that I actually like knew before the movie, and then a handful of other ones I hadn't really heard of, but are part of this cohort of surfers who rose to fame, and about their really close-knit friendship and kind of how they pushed each other to be competitive and their ups and downs. And I have to say, it started off the first 5 minutes, you're getting the backstory of each of these guys, and I'm like, well, who cares? It's so well done. They have such incredible access. The interviews that each of these guys give are so candid and deep, and it is amazing the kind of stuff that they talked about. Plus, they have one of their group of friends is this famous surf documentarian. I can't remember his name, but he's a famous surf documentarian. And he was filming them their whole careers, basically. So they have this incredible archival footage with these awesome stories, and it was really, really good. I do recommend it. So that, and then kind of kicking back to the beginning of the episode, and you asked how I was doing, and I said I've been, trying to put my house back together. We've started watching this new Netflix show.
I also started watching it.
Tidying up with Marie Kondo.
I don't watch movies that could result in me having to clean more.
Well, I have to say, the show itself...
I hide it from Allie also. Because if she watches it, I'm going to have to start throwing things out.
I'm watching the show, and it's like... and it's these, personal stories of people whose houses are really messy and how she kind of helps them clean it up. But really all I want is just a series of tutorials of her teaching me how to fold my clothes and decide what papers to keep and throw out.
I kind of like watching her just like put stuff in little boxes.
Yes.
She's always like has these little boxes with her.
That seems like a good way to lose stuff. Every time Allie puts my stuff away and I can't find it, I'm like, and I think we've learned a lesson about putting things away.
Also, she has an interpreter. She's so like cute and tiny, and she's a little interpreter.
She's totally lovely, and we have, as a result, started to use some of the Kondo methods and fold our clothes.
She's the one that wrote the book, and she's famous for saying,
"The joy of tiny."
Right. If it doesn't bring you
joy, then
throw it
that's
out.
what you do. You look at your items and you hold them.
I don't know if that's the right way for me, because so much gives me joy.
Shai has so much joy in his house.
See, whereas my problem is I pretty much take no joy from my stuff, and so I, on the other hand, would just get rid of everything.
Everything tells a story. For me, I'm like an X-Men. When I touch like some action figure from 1982, it's like a world appears before me, and I remember what it was like when I was little, and like people show up and talk to me. And
100%. If you could, Shai, to go along with this episode, take a picture of the wall of crap behind you. That way we could like time it with the Instagram of this episode, so people could see how much your stuff brings you
the
joy.
stuff that's right behind me here, it still has to be sorted. But if you look at the wall that's in front of me, the wall that in front of me that you helped me design with the...
It's actually really funny if you look at Shai's background, Lily's background, and mine. Just the stark difference.
Mine's a wall of shit. Like just like
but yours is organized. Mine is
disorganized, and Becky's is blank.
Mine's just blank. There's a lamp.
Right. I got a wall of stuff organized.
Lamp and baby.
Stuff that's not organized, and Becky just has like a hospital wall behind her, or whatever it is.
Like she's from an undisclosed location.
Sterile office in some location. Like one of those offices that they rent,
that's cool.
A shell in a movie.
That's really cool, Beck. I think that's the kind of movie that I bet is probably like a big hit. Like a lot of people.
It's not a movie. It's a show.
It's like a Queer Eye or a something like that. Anyway.
Apply me to that show. Like, don't secretly be like, oh, not like you got me Price is Right tickets when we got.
No, you're not enough of a disaster to be.
It was said here. I hope Allie's listening.
All right.
And I just want to say that what has gotten me through. So there's like a very intricate sometimes way for me to see things because I was just as a side thing, I was like looking on Twitter at the Future Man post that Seth Rogen put up about that it's in season 2, and a bunch of people are like, hey, tweet on Twitter, and a few people are like, yeah, man, like I don't want to steal it or pirate it. Like I want to watch it legitimate because I want to like support it, but there's no way for me to watch it where I live. And I was like, here. So as much as I can, I try to watch everything I watch legitimately from one way or another.
And I agree 100%.
Because, and especially
right.
since
If you
like
like a show,
you're doing it a disservice if you don't fight for the right, like to see it on like a legit streaming service.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want your this is the day where people have the ability to, I think, vote with their interests and their hearts and their wallets more than any other time in media's history. So that's exactly how I feel.
Right.
But
so, yeah.
No, but in the case of a thing like Hulu and Future Man, like, why can't they just make it so you could buy it on demand?
Right. Like, I was like, if I can't, but it's not even, and this is what this guy was saying too on Twitter, like, it's not even possibly accessible.
Right. Especially when it's their original content. Why don't they let you just, kind of the way iTunes does, let you just have like a Hulu library of things you want to? Here, we came up with that idea. Just let it be known when that happens, we should get a percentage of those cuts. All right.
Anyways,
let's stop brainstorming for other organizations, please.
And so it's been taking me like 3 years to watch Catastrophe because I can only watch it when I'm in the States. There's no way for me to get it here. And so I don't want to like speak too loudly, but normally if I download it onto a device in the States and I want to watch it here, I come home, I have to not be on the internet to do it, because if I'm on the internet, they'll tell me I'm in the wrong location.
Right.
So I have to put my phone on airplane mode or I better
watch
absolutely.
The whole thing and then go off.
Totally. It's like before I travel sometimes. It's not even a scam. Before I travel, if I have stuff on Amazon that I don't that like isn't available where I'm traveling overseas, if you leave it in airplane mode, it just thinks you're still on the airplane.
Exactly. And so I've had many late nights with a 2-year-old who's extremely jet lagged, and I have blown through 3 seasons of Catastrophe.
Oh boy, that's an intense show to watch when you're
especially with like a crying 2-year-old. I've had a few moments where I have to like switch to a Brooklyn Nine-Nine to like even out my brain. But yeah, like Rob Delaney and Sharon Hogan, is that her name?
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Just extraordinarily talented people, writers, actors, and that show is great. So
Becky,
I'm loving that.
Catastrophe?
Becky,
yeah. I've watched probably about half of season 1 so far.
Okay.
It's one of the shows that I watch.
I want to talk about the end of season 3 at some point and what we think is going to happen in season 4, because
I have a few more eps to go. But yeah. And so that's like basically what I've been watching. And I had like a really shit day yesterday, so I went to see Spider-Man again.
I crave seeing that movie again. Like I've
already seen it twice.
To go see it. I think I might have to just go one night by myself because I need to see it again.
While I was in the theater, there was nothing else playing. That's also true. Like, I was like, you have the end of a really, really bad day on a Saturday and like you have a babysitter. It's like, I will go to a movie because I can't interact with other people. Like, I can't go on a date with my husband. Like, I just need to go to a movie. And so all the movies are dubbed here. It's rare to get one in English.
But to be fair, going to a movie with you or me or Becky is an interactive experience.
It is. This is true. But it's like the right kind of one for like a bad mood. And I was like, you know what? There's all these movies and like some random like French dramas because it's Europe. And so I said to host, I was like, look, honestly, you haven't seen this. Even though I've seen it, I'm just going to play it in English in my head anyway. So I don't care that it's dubbed because I remember it.
How do they say janky hobo Spider-Man in Spanish?
Oh, they just say like a homeless person for the word for homeless person in Spanish. That's all they see.
So is it not a joke like in Spanish, or was it funny?
It's not. There's a few jokes that like everybody I remember cracked up in the theater that didn't land the same way. People laughed at other things, but like nobody laughed at the Banksy joke.
Oh, the Banksy joke. Yeah, that's a subtle joke. My kids didn't laugh at it either.
Right.
But the whole theater cracked up at that joke.
But what's amazing is that Shai and I went to see this in the afternoon, and there were no kids in the theater. This was a 9:10 showing, and there was a whole bunch of 4-year-olds. And I don't mean like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8.
Like
we
4.
turned around and we were literally like, I was like, I don't think this movie's
it's like a 4th birthday party.
Yeah, like for real. It was just seemed wildly inappropriate. But I'm watching the movie and I'm literally thinking it's rare that I don't think I've ever seen a movie in the theater twice. It's like
ever in your whole life?
I don't think so. That I went to see a movie.
See Titanic twice?
No, I did not. That was just
Becky
you.
saw it enough for all of us.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a movie in the theater twice, and so I was sitting there being like, I not only do I endorse this movie once, but I'm endorsing it twice. It's that good.
So, but speaking of things that you've been watching, your influence has spread, and our dear friend Ilana, Osten, has been watching Elite, and
how is Elite? Is it worth watching?
She said I'm watching the first few episodes, and I was like enjoying it. She said that it took her a bit more time to get into, and then she got hooked. I think it's fun. I mean, it's still
and Lon swears by the show.
It's a Spanish Riverdale-ish kind of thing.
But what Ilana asked us to do, and I'd be interested if others feel this way, is that we should maybe give warnings about which show should or shouldn't be watched in public places. Because apparently there's a lot of graphic sexual content, and Ilana was like on an airplane while she was watching it. And was a little embarrassed.
But I mean, at the point that you're watching the Spanish Riverdale, you've brought it upon yourself. Like, she saw Money Heist. There are people in underwear and having random sex scenes during a bank heist.
That's
for like hours.
That's
so
true.
It's sort of like a bunch of fake high schoolers, because these people are like 30. There's definitely going to be some nudity.
Fair enough. Okay. Then with that, that'll kick off our shout-outs. Beck, you got any shout-outs?
I do. I want to shout out to my husband this week, because earlier in the week, I was having a rough time. I was not feeling great. And every night, pretty much the whole week, he would just like either get me takeout or make me dinner and then let me pick the shows. Like every night for like 4 nights.
Can we just stop there for a second? That is such a big deal. One night of getting to pick the shows is like an anniversary present. But like every night of the week,
getting to pick the shows and he stayed and watched them with you?
Yeah, and he like cuddled me on the couch, and he did it like three nights in a row, awesome. And probably like 4 nights the whole week. And I feel like that's romantic.
Well, yeah, it is. Letting someone pick the shows and then leaving, or like being on your phone the whole time doesn't count.
It's like Becky when she told me, "You look so pretty today. You're wearing a lot of makeup."
No, you look so pretty with a lot of makeup.
Oh, that's what you said. It's a backhanded comment. If you're like, you pick the show, I'm gonna go read in my room, or I'm gonna watch something else in my room. Yeah. That's not a gift. I wonder if other people. I feel like in my house, I rarely get to pick the show. So I do watch my content on my own, but like as a family, I'm not in the driver's seat.
One night he picked Momentum, and so it was actually like a good movie. Sometimes he makes me watch like really boring stuff. So this was good.
That's awesome.
Good points for Vlad.
All right, Lil, how about you?
So I'm shouting out to our amazing fans who continuously write us awesome emails, and I think we love it, so keep it coming. Specifically, this week, Noah Allen, who wrote an incredible, quite detailed feedback email about the show, what he likes. He didn't say anything he didn't like.
And he pitched some awesome segments that we're definitely going to do.
Great segments, and I think he brings up some great points of shows. There's so much content to cover, which is why I will be doing this show for eternity. But he brought up some shows that at some point we absolutely need to talk about.
In particular, he brought up The West Wing, which he said we haven't really touched on, which we haven't. Now, I admit that The West Wing is like The Sopranos for me. I like the first couple of seasons, but then I really lost interest in it. But that being said, I did pick up the last season or second to last season of The West Wing with the campaign a few years ago, and that one was really cool. I enjoyed that premise. But anyways, The West Wing, we'll come back to
it. I really appreciate his suggestions. And also our dad, if you guys have been noticing, has been emailing us the entire week with episode segment suggestions, which I think is adorable.
And his episode segment suggestions are great. Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and he's been keeping an eye on the Goldberg's news as well. Like he found an article about Barry Goldberg throwing out the pitch in Veterans Stadium. Dad's been a very top-notch correspondent lately.
Yeah. What were you saying, Ben?
I was going to say, when you referred to the emails from fans, you were referring to Noah Allen.
Who's someone we grew up with.
A fan, who's someone we grew up with, but still, I appreciate it. And our father. That was the plural of that sentence.
We've had
like our
other
dad
emails.
is one of... Oh, okay.
I'm just
wasn't
saying.
sure.
I'm just picking. I mean, like, I've emailed you.
It's like when you say my friends, but it's like one friend and your mom. Like, does that count as your
mom is
friend?
Mom is our friend. Come on.
That is true.
Although
this week I asked my 2-year-old who's his friend, and he said me, and I was like, yes. And then I was like, because I didn't want to screw him up, so I was like, no, I'm your mommy who's your friend, and then I was actually like, no, I'm your only friend. I love you.
So
and then he said his favorite color was iguana, which was amazing. Becky and I are still trying to figure out if he meant green or actual iguana.
That's amazing. That's funny. Okay, my shout outs. I want to shout out to Mike from the All-Star Comic-Con. We had a great back and forth about Breakin' and Breakin' 2 and Crush Groove. He's a big Crush Groove fan. He was listening, and he's just an awesome guy, and we're already talking about having him on the podcast. So we're going to set that up in the next couple of weeks. But I can't think of a topic that we talk about that he wouldn't have a ton of awesome stuff to weigh in on. So shout out to Mike and the All-Star Comic-Con crew. Of course, we will be there June 7th, 8th, and 9th, and it's going to be amazing. And I also want to give a shout out to all the Goldnerds out there who watched Schooled and my Goldnerds co-hosts, Ash and Lons, because not only was the Goldbergs drop maybe one of the greatest episodes ever, the Wedding Singer episode, which crosses over with the Wedding Singer, the movie.
I know. I was just say I know you talk about it on your Goldnerds podcast, but that was epic. I
haven't got a chance to see it.
Lily, you're gonna lose your mind. The Wedding Singer. Let it be known, The Wedding Singer is one of Lily's favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
I think I went that movie you saw a dozen times. I think. I mean, I was on.
So what the Goldbergs confirmed is that the Goldbergs takes place in the same universe as The Wedding Singer.
Yes.
And they crossed it over with The Wedding Singer, and it was amazing. And then the premiere of Schooled, which was terrific, and I saw online that Adam wrote that it retained 100% of the viewership of the Goldbergs. So everybody who watched the Goldbergs that night stayed on and watched the show, so that's a good sign of things to come. Lainey, for those asking as to whether or not it would be great, it was great. Lainey as the main character is a really nice change, and or a nice contrast, not a change, but it's nice to have her as the main character narrating the story. And you have Glasscott and Meller, Brian Callen and Tim Meadows are the main adult figures as the teachers, and the show really is a love letter to teachers. And if you loved your teachers growing up, it's really told from that perspective of what what potential teachers have. So it has that sweetness of the Goldbergs, but it's a little bit different. It's more based on the view of the teachers. So we love that, and we were so excited about it. Alonzo and Ash and I actually stayed up after the West Coast feed, so it's like 2:00 in the morning East Coast time, and taped an instant Goldnerds reaction that I stayed up then editing and putting online. So if anyone watched those shows, check all of that out. I can't say enough great stuff about it. It is such a relief when your spinoff that you've been praying for forever turns out to be something like really, really good. And with that, Lily, where can people find you?
Chichi K. Gomez on Twitter. I've been tweeting. I tweeted twice yesterday.
I know.
Hey, maybe that's why you remembered your handle.
Probably.
And I am at Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram, pancake4table.com, FridayNightMoviePod.com, the All-Star Comic-Con, June 7th, 8th, and 9th. You can get tickets.
Yes.
Come to our booth, hang out with us, be a guest on the show. More details to come. And with that, the music from What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance our way into the evening.
Bye, love you.
Bye, love you.
Bye. Okay, guys, I actually have some questions on how to use.
Twitter?
No, I just don't
oh.
use it.
Wait, let me just take a picture of us for our Insta story. Shai?
No, that's my question. Is that I don't really know how to.
Smile.
Are you doing a boomerang? You gotta do a boomerang.
Oh.
I'm doing boomerang moves.
Okay, well, I wasn't, so.
Are you boomeranging? No, is that I was trying
Becky,
to.
you look like you're asleep.
Let me
Open
see.
your eyes. Okay, try again.